Welcome to Lyme Support Network podcast hosted by Holistic Therapy Tribe. Each episode, we sit down with one key member of the Lyme community, a doctor, a patient, an entrepreneur, an advocate, or a warrior, to learn from their first-hand experience. Today, our focus is on a Lyme warrior. Our guest, Brittany, will walk us through her first symptoms and why they were missed, the testing process, and how she finally got the right diagnosis, treatments that helped, and those that didn't, the impact on her health and relationships, the changes she hopes to see from doctors, coaches, and innovators. Whether you treat Lyme, live with it, or work to improve care, Brittany's story offers practical insight and clear next steps. So, Brittany, can you just give a bit about your Lyme disease journey and how it all started?
Yeah, so it was probably about 8 years ago now. I started getting really weird symptoms in my ears. I was getting like all this head pressure and banging in my ears and a lot of vertigo. And I had just gotten back from a trip to the Smoky Mountains. So I started going to doctors, and the doctors were just kind of saying it was a pressure change issue. It would adjust or whatever. It never adjusted. And then within a few weeks, I started going to specialists and was getting all these additional tests done. And the symptoms kind of started to pile up. The doctors told me everything was unrelated and they were all separate diseases. So basically I was diagnosed at this point with like vestibular migraines and allergies. One of them said, like, have you considered anxiety? So it's kind of, I started to just kind of like rack up the diagnoses. And then when it really started getting bad, it was really like 3.5 years into this. My whole body was covered in an itchy rash, and none of the dermatologists I went to knew what it was, and they just kept giving me steroids and different medications for it. Nothing was helping. And then my joints started getting really bad, and I woke up one day and just couldn't stand up. So I was going to specialists for that. They were calling it overuse. Went to a rheumatologist. He said it was probably rheumatoid arthritis, even though everything was negative for rheumatoid arthritis. And he ended up suggesting a biologic that I would have had to be on for the rest of my life. He said, if you don't start taking this, you're going to be in a wheelchair in a year. And that was kind of a wake-up call for me, because it didn't feel right in my gut that it was rheumatoid arthritis. And he had done a Lyme Western blot test, but that was negative. But it just, like, none of it felt right. So I started doing my own research, and that's kind of how I fell into all of this. And that was, now 5 years ago. And I finally was able to, with my own research, I convinced a functional medicine doctor to order me an IGeneX test.
So
that
you
was
actually
positive.
advocated it.
Yes. Yep. That was positive for Lyme, tick-borne relapsing fever, Bartonella, Babesia. My Epstein-Barr had reoccurred, so I was dealing with the fatigue from that. And then I finally just kind of found a naturopath who listened to me and was able to get on the right path.